This is normally where I do some sort of funny bit to engage my audience and hook them. But I've got trick-or-treaters coming in like 2 hours, so like business mode, let's go. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for a modern video, and today we are going to be playing with Dredge. Now, in Modern, Dredge is kind of this weird deck in that historically Dredge has either been absolutely busted, something needs to be banned from this, with cards like maybe Faithless Looting or Hogaak doing some serious heavy lifting, or it's like technically a deck you can play, but it's not really tiered at all. And right now, you know, there's one deck in Modern, from my understanding. There's Black Red Scam, and then there's other decks. Okay, sorry, that's two decks in Modern. So, as this deck isn't Black Red Scam, it maybe is a questionable choice, but let's kind of break down how this deck is going to work. Now, today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com as well as Cool Stuff Inc. And if you need any paper magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. So, you'll notice that like a lot of the broken cards that you might know from Legacy Dredge, like Golgari Grave Troll, just aren't here. This deck is much more limited in scope than Legacy Dredge is. We still get some things like Stinkweed Imp, but we don't get super efficient discard like Faithless Looting. Instead, we're going to have to rely on things like Lightning Axe, Cathartic Pyre, as well as Cathartic Reunion to do our discarding and drawing. And we're kind of a strange pseudo-aggro deck list in that we're hoping to return a couple of Prized Amalgams after flooping something like a Narcomoeba into play, or otherwise making a land drop and returning a Bloodghast. And we're hoping that we don't have to do all that much damage to our opponent, because if we make it through most of our deck, 4 copies of Creeping Chill, 3, 6, 9, 12, means that we only need to do 8 damage to our opponent. Now, will we actually make it through our entire deck while we're traditionally only dredging 3 to 5 cards? Maybe, maybe not, but we're going to give it the old try today. As far as the sideboard goes, to answer the generic things that our opponent might be playing as graveyard hate, we have Terra Sunder, which lets us exile a target artifact or enchantment, or if it's kicked, it can hit a non-land permanent instead and have greater flexibility. We are a 20 land deck, so it's not like we're like super unfair skimping on lands, get 1 land into play, cast the first spell, never necessarily cast something again. We're probably casting multiple spells over the course of this game, far more spells than you would be in a Legacy Dredge deck. With that being said, one of the other cards here that I had to read because I didn't know it was Hearth Elemental. This is a 4/5 6-drop, kind of. But the spell costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards in your graveyards that are instants, sorceries, and or have an adventure. So it's kind of like a pseudo delve card. But the nice part is that it also has an adventure that can make us discard our hand and draw 2 cards and get our whole dredge stuff going. Yeah, I think that's enough of an intro. Let's battle. Phil from the future here. If you have a limited amount of time, I recommend watching round 3. Enjoy the show. Okay, I don't think this is a format where we draw a card, discard a Golgari Thug, and start trying to play the game in that capacity. I think I just mulligan this hand. Flashback that lets me discard. This hand kind of does nothing. We're going to go to 5. Fuck. We're going to go to 4. Okay. Land, Lightning Axe. Man, this is situational. Okay. This is a little rough. We're hoping my opponent plays an early creature that I can just Lightning Axe. If they're not playing creatures, life's bad. Life's just really bad if they're not playing creatures. Alright, there's the fetch. Colors. Bug Triome. I have no idea what that means. Is this a leyline binding format now too? I'll assume yes if my opponent fetches a white land here. Okay, there is at the very least a fourth color. We are beans. Got it. I think I'm going to fetch and take a land out of my deck here. I do have Bloodghast to think about a little bit later on, but oh, I guess I'm a Triome deck. I mean, I guess technically I have blue spells that I would want to cast. Yeah. Now that I realize that, I'm not sure that I was actually supposed to fetch. Let's do this and pass. And I don't like my odds this game. I don't really know what we're playing against. It's probably like a 5-ish color control deck list, but we are not going anywhere fast. Sure. Okay. That's better than casting a Stinkweed Imp. No, I'd like to play the fetch land if this actually does resolve, because then I can get a Triome end of turn if I don't have Lightning Axe nonsense to do. All my opponents, and that's white mana, right? Alright, yeah. All my opponents 5 drops and above now cantrip twice, and they don't go down on cards to play up the Beanstalk since it cantrips immediately. You nothing. You are nothing. Then I'm going to take a little damage here. Basic is fine. I guess technically if I want to cast Bloodghast, I need a second black. I'm just going to grab a basic though. Let's junk the imp. And my opponent has played another cantripping card. Let's dredge this Stinkweed Imp. Hey, it's a Narcomoeba, which triggers a Prized Amalgam. We're doing something that resembles gaming, folks. So I can rediscard the Stinkweed Imp with Conflagrate if I'd like. How does this work? From your library specifically? Well, let's just cast a Creeping Chill then. Put my opponent to 10, and then put a Prized Amalgam into play. Dredge a Life from the Loam next turn to try to keep graveyard nonsense going. It is a new Omnath, which I am not a fan of. That just walls Prized Amalgam. And Omnath gets to do gross things. There's the fetch to trigger the second ability of Omnath. Honestly, the incidental 4 life here is pretty bad for me. I wonder if this second Omnath means that I'm supposed to take a draw to try to like something that answers that. This Conflagrate, I am not discarding 4 cards right now to make that happen. Alright, there's a Sacred Foundry. My opponent loses 2 life to bring that in untapped, and then they're presumably playing some 5-drop that draws 2 cards. Yeah. Yeah, life's bad. Life's bad. I mean, it was already bad after the... What, I kept 4? Am I trying to get lucky, dredge some Creeping Chills, accidentally kill my opponent? I think so. Did a Thug. With a Thug in there, I think I'm just going to cast this. I guess I can cast Life from the Loam first, right? Okay, hold on. This situation is not as dire as I thought it was. Because now I have 4 cards in hand. So I can Conflagrate, discard these 4 cards, and kill the Omnath to keep my opponent from gaining more life, and then we'll figure out the Fury later. 1, 2. Actually, is it get rid of the Fury and then try to Death Touch Omnath? I don't know, maybe I can't give my opponent the life. Like, I'm not good, I don't think, at dealing a huge amount of damage to my opponent. Yeah. So let's take out the Omnath. Or at least try. I guess Force of Negation is a thing in this format. And in case it is not abundantly clear, I am not a Modern specialist. I have played like 2 or 3 Modern leagues this year. So we're learning everything as we go along here. Alright. Alright, Chroma. Came out here to bully today. This is about to be like a total of 6 mana for my opponent. Yeah, this 6 life, or sorry, this 8 life that Omnath has gained is probably the difference between me being able to close out this game and me having no chance. Ring Delight? That cantrip's Time Warp? Well, shit, I'm not even mad. That was honestly pretty cool. Get hit for what? 6, 12, plus 4, 16. My opponent gets an entire extra turn. Yeah, no, that's... I get it. I get it. That was cool. So, I don't know what graveyard hate, if any, my opponent is playing, which makes informed sideboard decisions tough. I am probably going to board in a couple of these to just have some generic answers to stuff. Like Dark Blast, for example, other than having the word Dredge 3 on it, doesn't seem particularly strong in this matchup. I think I'm going to sub those for a couple of Terra Sunders and call it good. So I can do a no targets Life from the Loam to start dredging with this hand. I think I fish. This like just doesn't feel that good. And this is like Lightning Axe or nothing. My opponent's probably not playing early game creatures, so this is just like too slow again. And I don't know that I want to keep a hand that just like curves Narcomoeba into Prized Amalgam into Creeping Chill. That doesn't seem unfair. It seems like anything that looks like that just gets walled by Omnath and friends later on. All right. No? Mold a 4? God damn it. Basically keep the same 4 card. Or no, this doesn't fucking discard the first time around. Keep cast Conflagrate for X equals 0, then discard Stinkweed Imp? Just rough. I'm gonna try playing this out this way in hopes of drawing a different red 2-drop that I can play. The fact that my opponent is on like exile-based removal just makes keeping anything that just like normally casts these creatures just bad. The things like the Bloodghast and Prized Amalgams aren't going to come back if my opponent just yeets them with Playline Binding. Alright, land drop from my opponent. Oh, into a turn 1 play. Oh? Are you just ephemerating this? Okay, yeah, they're just going to put a double striker into play. That'll do. I play this. This is red, right? Conflagrate. Can this spell not be cast for X is... Or do I just do it like this? Okay, yeah. Slightly strange templating, but okay. And then they just won't cast this so that they can attack for 6 this turn. And then literally whatever card I draw, I discard to Conflagrate so that it's X equals 3 to kill this Fury. And then get Stinkweed Imp nonsense going. But we are operating from some very limited resources here. The red, 1, 2, 3. It's taken us 2 turns, but we have achieved Lightning Bolt status. What on earth is this? A creature an opponent controls would die. Exile it instead. Sacrifice this to exile target player's graveyard and draw a card. Okay. After a mold of 4, 2 games in a row, I'm going to just move on to the next one here. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Just the best place to host your deck lists online, just full period. It is. And I can say lots of nice things about them, or I can just show you that I have 328 deck lists on this site, and I think that's about the best endorsement that I can give them. Okay, I have a reasonable hand here that is going to be hoping... You know, I'm just not going to finish the sentence. Just not going to finish the sentence. All right. We're going to be too slow to beat this opponent. Just, I think explicitly. So end of turn, we'll fetch. Eat black. Are you black? You're not black. We'll take a Blood Crypt. And we'll go ahead and get our dredging stuff started. But I kept this hand hoping that, like, the Death Touchers were going to be relevant and that we would have time to do cool stuff. But my so in case you're just a legacy viewer and you don't know the massive amount of bullshit that is about to happen, my opponent, and another one from hand. My opponent is going to play like a Karoo, a bounce land, untap it multiple times, and then cast a Primeval Titan. And it's going to be rude. And I'm not going to like it, and I'm going to be sad. Okay. I did get some value off the Life from the Loam, which is cool. So we get a free Lightning Bolt. I guess I am casting Death Touchers here. Guess I'm casting Death Touchers. And we can pretend that a Death Toucher beats a Primeval Titan. See if my opponent uses Mycosynth Gardens to copy an amulet at end of turn. Urza Saga is a 4th amulet. And the amount of pain that this is about to be is absolutely unreal. Yeah. So I have F6'd. My opponent now gets to untap that Simic Growth Chamber 4 different times. So that is a total of 10 mana. They can then return this Simic Growth Chamber to hand to do this every turn for the rest of the game. There is a Primeval Titan. And guess what? That can get more bounce lands. It can also get a Boros Bounce land and a Haste Enabler so that it can attack this turn and create more lands. Oh my gosh, look at that. So my opponent floats some mana, activates a Slayer's Stronghold. They can then go ahead and activate it again, and then make a bunch more mana with the Boros Garrison. Or sorry, one more activation there. All right, a land goes back to hand. The hasty, rampantly vigilant Primeval Titan can now attack. Oh, and that's double strike this time around. So that's a Boros Bounce land into double strike, which is 24, which is more than all of this together. We are dead. It feels like I'm playing a Pauper deck in Legacy. I am just getting absolutely wrecked here. So I probably need to attempt to attack amulets so that stuff can't happen, which probably means these cards. If I cut my engine too much, I just don't do stuff. Dark Blast can go. The front half of this is bad. The back half of this is respectable with Life from the Loam, but I probably just don't. I would then need to cut 2 cards. I would like to draw these cathartic cards sometime and maybe do something unfair. I guess I could Ghost Quarter my opponent. I guess like Life from the Loam post Seiju, Ghost Quarter is an alternative plan that doesn't require me to sideboard infinite cards and weaken my core engine. Like I could just go 1, 2, 3. I lose out on some ways to exile stuff, but I don't go too heavily into the core. I don't really know how to sideboard yet because I haven't really played any games with this deck. I just like have not had any hands that attempt to do anything resembling something unfair. Like this is the first Cathartic Reunion I think I have seen after roughly, I don't know, 5 or 6 mulligans or 5 or 6 hands. No, more hands than that. So let's put the Narcomoeba back in the deck, I guess, and kind of hope that things go well here. We are looking for any Dredger off of this cycling attempt. Nope. We have that cycling attempt and a draw to try to do something unfair with. All right. Fetch. Get a Blood Crypt. Yes. Cathartic Reunion. Discard 1, 2. All right. This is not bad. I have something resembling a plan now. Well, my opponent might do something unfair this turn. Okay. Oh, that sucks for me. All right, they just replay the land drop. So, shenanigans. Blow up the amulet. Make a land drop pass. I need to hit something that lets me discard this thug and then do something cool. Like, my opponent could just cast just fucking cast a Primeval Titan next turn. Maybe they'll play an artifact. They did not play an artifact. Sure. Yeah, because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. next turn they just play one more land, and yeah, so they just have Primeval Titan on turn 4, despite the fact that I got rid of Amulet of Vigor. Cool. No Dredge. Dredge 1 is rough. Okay. Okay. Gonna be one of these leagues. Cast Narcomoeba. Cast Troll. Pass. Okay. No, that's cool. Yeah, my opponent is gaming on a very different level than I am here. Sure. This is going to obliterate me. And my opponent now controls at least 5 other mountains, so every land drop from here is also just Lightning Bolt. Okay. Yep. And I assume these all just go to my face, and the One Ring will bury me. Also indestructible. We're done here. We're gonna try again. Okay. I have something that resembles a hand of Magic the Gathering cards. But I'm still just, like, not assembling Cathartic Reunion plus, like, a Dredger to get things going here. What colors is that? Okay. Let's fetch, I guess, grab the Triome. Stinkweed Imp. So now I have assembled something that is somewhat competitive. I need black mana. I also think I just want to put another land into my graveyard for later. Let's Crypt as well. Alright, Cathartic Reunion. Discard 2 cards. Draw 3 cards. This is the first time that we might actually do something unfair. There's Stinkweed Imp. There's Stinkweed Imp. There's Golgari Thug. We hit only a Narcomoeba after all of that. Oh no, okay. I guess there's a Bloodghast, to be fair. But, like, we missed on all our Creeping Chills. We missed on all of our copies of Prized Amalgam. Alright, 18. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Dredge Golgari Thug. Alright, Bloodghast, Prized Amalgam. This turn's gonna look a little better. Just discard your hand, then draw 2 cards. This is fine. Land drop. Bloodghast triggers. Which triggers Prized Amalgam as well. Yes. And I think I'm into this. Which side is this? Genius. I will cast Genius. Dredge Stinkweed Imp. Dredge Stinkweed Imp. A Narcomoeba and Creeping Chill. Alright, we have officially done something that feels like modern gaming. It took 3 rounds, but we hit it. Let's attack. How much does this cost? Yeah, one red mana will do. We can make that happen. This is a good looking turn 3. Fantastic. Triggers. And there's a Prized Amalgam. This is presumably lethal damage next turn. I haven't counted, but it feels like my opponent's dead. Where has this shit been the other rounds? Also, if we hit a little better on Creeping Chills, those Bloodghasts might have been able to attack with haste that turn. Sure. Are we binding? Scion of Draco. You may have a 4/4. Absolutely. I've done a little better than that for myself. Dredge Stinky. Narcomoeba. Yes. I can conflagrate this for 3. I think I just play an Ox and assume that it basically kills my opponent. Land, 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 land. Done. I will discard my hand. I will dredge. I will dredge. Okay, yeah, my opponent's done with me. Okay, that was cool. So I probably want a couple of Terra Sunders like before to just have some generic answers to stuff. Although, I don't know, maybe I just ignore all the stuff my opponent does and just try to do that again in one of these 2 games. Honestly, I probably need a couple answers to stuff. I want to have at least the theoretical out. And if it hits beans, like, that is a bad trade for me, but it might be something that I need to do sometimes. Okay, this is fine. I think I'm just keeping every hand ever that has one of these looting effects, because there's not... It just, like, doesn't feel like there's enough of them in the deck for me to consistently do my thing. Like, it feels like I want 4 Cathartic Pyre, 4 Cathartic Reunion. Could be wrong, like, obviously I am a true novice to this deck. But, like, Dredge 6 on turn 2 is very good. I would like to do that. Sure. Alright, that's a tapped land. It doesn't make blue mana, so hopefully this is good. I think I'm always going to play this. Ooh, this is an instant? That matter? Unsure. I don't have matchup experience here to know. I think I am going to pass the turn and do it on my opponent's turn. How does Prized Amalgam read, I guess? That is maybe a deal breaker at the beginning of the next end step, so I can still just cast that in my opponent's second main phase and hopefully be fine with it. Fable's fine. Discard up to 2 cards. Draw that many cards. So discard Loam, Dredge once, Dredge twice, Reaping Chill my opponent, Dredge 5. Hey, get a Narcomoeba. Put my opponent to 11. Ox is in graveyard. Discard your hand, draw 3 cards. Right now, I could just, like, Boseiju the Fable. I think this is one of those times where, like, I just fucking go for it. Red, red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just all of it. 6, 7, 8. Done. Discard my hand. Dredge, Stinkweed Imp. Dredge, Stinkweed Imp. Dredge, Golgari Thug. Hit Creeping Chill. We did not... Oh, no, there is a Prized Amalgam, but it didn't see another creature. That's kind of unfortunate. So my opponent gets to do a little bit of looting here to try to fix their situation. On my turn, I can dredge life from the Calibrated Blast. Okay. That one's a doozy, just in case you haven't seen that before. Leyline Binding on my Ox. Quite good. Oh, hold on. I have a Boseiju in my graveyard, right? That's pretty fucking cool. That I have a Boseiju in my graveyard. And that this is an enter the battlefield trigger. Dredge life from the loam, please. Reaping Chill. Cool. Yes. Opponent is at 5, which effectively means 4. Forest. Boseiju. Second Boseiju. Bam. Make a land drop. I would like to return the Bloodghasts, which triggers Prized Amalgam. Yes, which triggers Prized Amalgam. This is lethal damage. Okay. This deck is capable of doing things. Okay, we have good cards in hand. We will accordingly keep the hand. Foothills? Foothills fetch some tapped land of some kind is probably fine. Probably just something that produces black mana. Boseiju. Man, let's fetch. Maybe it's just a Ketria Triome now. Draw life from the loam. Bloodghast. I think I try to slow my opponent down rather than trying to race them. I think their deck is just faster. I don't think I can give them 2 amulets. And this at least means that they don't have an amulet in play for this turn. Alright. You know what? You can have 2 amulets. Fuck it. I'll allow it. All right, there's a bounce land. Okay, so play this. Discard 1 and 2. Dredge with Stinkweed Imp. Dredge with Stinkweed Imp. All right, and then we just drew a regular card after that. Yes, no Prized Amalgam. There's a Conflagrate, which I can cast later. Opponent's like, yeah. I'm out here trying to live the dream. So let's play a Stomping Ground here. Don't need to pay the life. I can return some Bloodghasts. And we'll see if we're dead on my opponent's turn. Because an Amulet is coming, and then they can play a Bounce Land, and we could be in Titan Town. If we're not immediately in Titan Town, maybe there's hope for me. Maybe. So much Saga. At least it wasn't a Bounce Land. Okay, that's fine. Bloodghasts come back. Like, that is not a problem. So we're probably doing this nonsense, right? Like, discard my hand, draw 2 cards. Just, like, gamble on Stinkweed Imp. Do I play a land drop first? Probably. Genius. Discard all this nonsense. Dredge Stinky. Dredge Stinky. We hit a Prized Amalgam. Yes. Conflagrate. And Ox. This is red? This is red. Do I want to Conflagrate the token and swing in for a little bit? Nah, I want to be a fucking Ox. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Believe in the Ox. We'll discard the Stinkies and Dredge. And Dredge. And Dredge. Okay, there we go. Yes. 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 Okay. Opponent's at 11. I am fine trading token for Bloodghast. Bloodghast will probably come back next turn. Ah, that shit has reach. Cool. 2 Prized Amalgam. Nope, sorry, that was... Oh, this one didn't see a creature come into play. Got it. All right, opponent's got multiple Amulet of Vigors. And then we'll kind of just see how... Not Bounce Land! Holy shit! Construct token. Okay. I mean, I feel like we got a little lucky that my opponent didn't have a Bounce Land at an appropriate time, but my deck definitely did the thing. So, how much of this nonsense do I want? I think I decided that I wanted these 3. And what I did, like, Dark Blast out. Did I board out a land? I don't know what I did for the last card. Was it the Conflagrate? Might have been the Conflagrate. I don't think I'm going in for the Terra Sunders. I'm lacking a second land here. I have reasonable cards, but I think I just need to mulligan and not take the chance of missing land drop 2. Shenanigans? Shenanigans strong enough for me to keep this hand? I hope so, because I'm keeping it. There's a Slayer's Stronghold into an Amulet of Vigor. We're hoping my opponent doesn't do anything broken on their turn 2. I can play Shenanigans and destroy Amulet, but if they get ahead of me here, I will never catch up. All right, there's Gardens. That's horrifying. Is there a sorcery speed restriction on this? Well, never mind. It doesn't matter. Okay, there's not another land drop there. Let's not get too excited. I don't know if there's a mechanical difference between blowing up these things, but this is a hell of a start. All right, there's a bounce land. Let's see if my opponent can do something silly that gives them extra land drops. Okay, there's extra land drops. Okay, Valakut plus Dryad is good. We'll dredge. Oh, Cathartic Pyre. No. No. All right. We're not quite in great shape yet. I think my opponent is still quite favored, but We hopefully have time before Valakut starts taking over this game and killing me. They found something else to take over this game and kill me. Sure. I take 2 from this. I don't think I can dredge now. Again, this is indestructible. Oh, fuck yeah. That was such a good hit. Holy moly. Discard double Stinky. Let's go. Dredge. 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 Get a Narcomoeba. 1 Creeping Chill. Unfortunately. 3 damage each. I still gain the life, right? Yes, I still gain the life even if my opponent can't take damage. So next turn, I can potentially dredge life from the loam and get Bloodghast back and then work towards Ox, maybe? Or am I just eating Titan here? That's just Titan. Titan plus Valakut is gross. Because my opponent just gets extra copies of Valakut. And if you've never seen this before, it's a treat. So that is 3 copies of Valakut, which each see 2 lands, leaving me at 3 life, leaving me dead to any land drop, and that's a land drop. Concede. We go to the next game. You know, maybe I'm not even supposed to, like, interact with my opponent. Like, this is just a race. This is just, like, have Cathartic Pyre in my opening hand, get lucky. So if I stop the amulets, I still just lose to Titan and the One Ring a good portion of the time. What did I board in? So it's Dark Blast, Conflagrate out. It's 2 Ghost Quarters. What was the last thing I boarded in? Oh, Shenanigans. Shenanigans is good. That still has the word Dredge written on it. Maybe I still keep Ghost Quarter. This would be a reasonable keep in a slower matchup. But this matchup feels like pod racing. Cathartic Pyre and a Dredger. Let's go. Throwback Creeping Chill. Sorry, 2 Dredgers, more accurately. So we will just go land drop pass. I think I want a Stomping Ground with this. I don't know how much it matters. Life from the Loam is just going to get me other colors. I just want to have access to red very quickly. Sure. So there's my red. I have reasons to do this right now versus on my opponent's turn. Let's surprise them. Because we're not at a life total yet where, like, the haste matters. Off Bloodghast specifically. Oh. So I want to do this second main, then. Discard up to 2 cards. Dredge. There's a Prized Amalgam in the yard now. There's a Boseiju in my graveyard. It is probably just a little slow. We'll see. It depends on what my opponent has exactly. Let's loam. Go 1, 2, 3. Play some fetch land. Pass turn. I don't think this is a format where I have to worry about my lands getting pithing needled, so I'm not going to respond to this. It also just feels like this is always Amulet. Alright. Second Amulet. Is there a bounce land? There's a bounce land. So my opponent gets to make a gajillion mana. Then they can Expedition Map for another land. Oh no. That's another one. So that's 5 mana, 7 mana. So we are in Primeval Titan territory. Oh, it's Dryad. I understand why my opponent kept their hand. They just get to do this again. 8 mana. And now my Boseiju is probably too slow to stop this stuff. You know, I'm going to fetch a tapped land at F6, and whatever happens to me is whatever. I probably shouldn't, because I'm going to dredge, and I could hit Bloodghast. All right, in that case, I'm just going to F6, and whatever happens to me happens. 11 mana, 13 mana, Summoner's Pact for Primeval Titan, which I imagine results in me being dead. It's just like Boros, Bounce Land, and the haste thing into double strike land. Yeah, I think I'm dead enough that I will hack it in there. GG's. My opening hand has Cathartic Pyre, therefore it is a keep. Alright, are we finally getting scammed? I lose Cathartic Pyre. My deck is unplayable. GG's. Yeah. That's rough. We are going to have to play a slow game. And maybe I can do that with like a naked Life from the Loam, but all it takes is my opponent like playing a Fury and putting a +1/+1 counter on it to really just clock me before I can do anything I am so upset right now. I'm so incredibly upset right now. My current plan is to play a pair of 3/3s and then cast a 4-mana Lightning Bolt and pray. Okay, we're getting scammed. The worst thing here is that the good stuff goes under Douthty Voidwalker. So there's the Undying Evil. Grief will come back with a +1/+1 counter. Take another one of my cards. Not have the courtesy to buy me dinner first. My opponent has 7 power in play. I have no reasonable plays left. The Life from the Loam's a dead card. Ox is essentially a dead card. Awkward in terms of timing. Okay. Please don't have your last card be one of these Undying Evil bullshit cards. I'm just going to concede to it if it is. So I'm not going to go to their turn. Okay, cool. Play Boseiju. Cast Life from the Loam with no legal targets. We can try to use Life from the Loam to get to 5 mana for Ox before Grief kills us. Sure. Tapped Blood Crypt is expected. Another Blood Crypt. If my opponent just has like another land in hand, it's not crazy that we could do something meaningful this game. Dark Blast, Cathartic Reunion, Thug. Not hitting a land there is rough. I'm dredging Thug next turn instead of playing Life from the Loam. I'm going to hold Life from the Loam in my hand accordingly. Oh. Yeah, that's a thing you're allowed to do in this format still. So I am dead next turn unless Golgari Thug does some nonsense. My opponent can cast a Narcomoeba if they'd like. They would like. So Ragavan bounces back to hand. Come on, Thug. Miss. I am comfortable conceding at this point. Douthty Voidwalkers are some shit, and I don't get better at answering them. Fuck. Fuck. So I have Conflagrate, Lightning Axe that answer those. That's cool. So the next question is Leyline of the Void better than other cards in my deck when I just lose to Douthty Voidwalker anyway? Unsure. Like maybe for the game that I'm on the play, I can go under Douthty Voidwalker. I don't play Leylines, and the game that I'm on the draw, I do. But Grief taking Cathartic Pyre or Cathartic Reunion is kind of a disaster. Wanting Dark Blast for potentially answering a Ragavan is really awkward. I think I need to play the Leylines. I think I ignore Ragavan, since Dark Blast is otherwise not going to be great. And I'm very fuzzy on what to trim from there. Maybe it's Conflagrate. 1 Creeping Chill, maybe? Don't take my sideboarding as gospel. Yes. Start with a Leyline in play. Have turn 2 Cathartic Reunion with Stinkweed. We've got a real chance at this game. Thoughtseize taking the Cathartic Reunion, though, means that my hand does nothing. There's a Ragavan that we have chosen to ignore. That is okay. We're discarding Stinkweed Imp and Narcomoeba. Is this a Triome? I don't have any access to black right now. Let's get Blood Crypt. And this also allows me to have red. Cathartic Pyre. I think I'm going to use my sorcery one right now and do the guaranteed draw 3. Discard those two. Dredge Stinky. Dredge Stinky. Dredge Life from the Loam. Okay, cool. For the game that I'm on the draw, do I want another pair of Dark Blast? Like, how much damage do I need to be able to do to my opponent? If my opponent's just going to concede if shit goes wrong, I board out some extra Creeping Chills and just, like, play 2 Dark Blasts. But my opponent does have, like, some really good removal in the form of Fury that would drastically slow me down. I think I need to keep some number of Creeping Chills. Any land, and this one's a banger. Keep. Fuck. Well, no one gets to do fun things. There will be no joy in this game. My hand sucks now, though. Against Leyline. Hopefully my opponent's hand also sucks. Actually, I should turn off auto yields here. Because I could Lightning Axe something. Sure. There's a land. How does this card work? Discard your hand to draw 2 cards. No. So I now just need legit fair creatures. I think this first one gets Blood Crypt. Then later I get a Triome. Or blue for Prized Amalgam. Yes. So bam, bam. Discard Life from the Loam and an Elemental, probably. Man, this hand would have gone bananas if my opponent didn't have Leyline. I think my opponent probably beats me with fair stuff like Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. I think they're a better fair deck than I am. Okay, yeah. Man, it's Douthie Voidwalker and Leyline. Fuck me. Okay. Am I killing this with a Lightning Axe? Yes. Do I try to kill it with a Lightning Axe after making another land drop? Risky? I think risky is fine. Discard 1, 2. Land drop. Nice. Okay. Fetch. Blood Crypt. Or black. I guess there's Boseiju to think about. Let's Blood Crypt. Lightning Axe. Target Douthie. I don't have blue for you right now. I should maybe just discard the 6-drop and not live that dream. It's just like a little awkward because like, or no, it doesn't. It doesn't have the void counter because there's also a Leyline of the Void in play. Duh. Okay, sure. All right. That's not too surprising. Immediate fucking punish. I don't play that land drop. I'll hold that until I find another fetch land. Ult? Ult is fine. I'm just so afraid of my opponent getting to like 4 and 5 mana. Alright, yep. A Narcomoeba, not currently castable. So many thought seizes. Alright, yep. I mean, it technically saves them life. Not currently castable. Okay, my opponent's stuck on cards, which is buying me time. I think this is getting the Triome, because that gets me both the green and the blue that I need. I think I just let Leyline of the Void sit there for another turn cycle. It's really awkward giving my opponent land when I know land is the thing that they need to smooth out their hand. Yep. This may be a crazy person talking here. I don't know that I'm going to get rid of the Leyline of the Void and give my opponent a land. I think I'm going to fucking cast a Narcomoeba. I'm just going to cast a goddamn 1/1 and try to kill my opponent and not give them the land. They don't have anything to do by blowing up their Leyline right now. Okay. Third land is happening, meaning something like Fable of the Mirrorbreaker can happen. And it is Fable, which I might blow up instead of Leyline of the Void. We'll see. Do I blow up either? Am I just playing a 4-power attacker? Oh, what the fuck has happened? How did we reach this point? How did this happen? Attack. I just want to draw like creeping chills and burn my opponent out. Oh, this game's so shameful. Play Ox. Draw 3. That's a creeping chill. Okay. So my opponent gets to loot here and presumably smooth out their hand. Yeah, they got rid of Undying Evil and Not Dead after all. So just stuff that was dead because of Leyline. I like things that lower my opponent's life total, like that fetch land. However, I am absolutely terrified of things like Fury. Yeah, that gets to live. I am very afraid. It is unfortunately the Fury. So how many creeping chills are gone? No creeping chills are gone. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just gonna use this as an honest removal spell for Fury. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, probably 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Nuke the Fury. Play a 1/2 Death Toucher. And go from there. I really don't want a Grief to take this creeping chill. Like, the life points matter a lot right now. Alright, my opponent's coming in. I am maybe supposed to trade with this so that my opponent can't just, like, copy it in future turns. But my situation does not feel great. 5 mana. Not red, though. No, there's red. It's a Fury. In which case, my opponent copies Fury, has 12 damage, and I am dead on board. Well, I guess technically Creeping Chill keeps me alive. Oh. Creeping Chill you're at 5. Hasty Bloodghast isn't gonna do it. I'll keep this land to potentially loot away. I don't really know what I'm going for here. There's a dashed Ragavan. So Reflection Copy Fury plus Ragavan is lethal. That was a beating. So good news, bad news. Good news, beat the trick-or-treaters with this league. Bad news, I don't feel like this deck is consistent enough, and like I guess that's the point of like the modern bans, right? Given how consistent decks like Scam and Amulet are at executing a plan, I don't know that this deck is really playable. The deck needs more things that look like this, and maybe you need to max out on the copies of Cathartic Reunion despite the fact that it is awkward. Like, the additional cost to cast this spell is discard 2 cards. That is not optional like it is with some of these other effects. I think you need more ways to get your game plan going. Like, my biggest complaint about this deck, I think, is that, like, turn 1 basically doesn't exist. Like, Dark Blast and Lightning Axe, especially when you're on the play, aren't usually turn 1 plays. You don't have something like Thoughtseize here to get you out of the early game. And any hand that didn't have one of these 6 cards just felt so incredibly slow. I believe I mulliganed to 4 repeatedly in the first 2 rounds, like, and just didn't really play Magic. And given how consistent modern decks are, you know, and the control decks have things like, you know, Beans and the One Ring as well, like, given the consistency of the format, I don't think I want to be playing something this volatile. It is really fucking cool when it works and it gets to do its thing. But if it's not doing its thing consistently enough, I think you need to go deeper into the tank and try to adjust it, or just wait until new cards get printed. Regardless, I hope you all enjoyed, and if you end up needing any paper Magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. Use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!